Very good morning and Jai Hind to all of you. Before going ahead, I have one announcement. Last Wednesday 18th, we had installation ceremony in Reds and Blue Kharadi. I am happy that almost all the members joined, and few members who could not join, they joined over Zoom, and it went off very well. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude and sincere thanks to all members who joined and blessed us. I also would like to give special thanks to Sanjay Bhai, Deepak Bhai, Prerna, Kiran, Vinay, because they had been always with me, particularly for that ceremony, without whom this could not have been grand success. So thank you, Sanjay Bhai, Deepak Bhai, Prerna, Kiran, and Vinay. Please keep it up. Niruji has experience which she will be sharing later. So not taking much time because we are very eager to listen. Ashutosh ji, hearty welcome to you today morning. It is time for secretarial announcements since Prerna is not there. So I would request Sanjay Bhai to do this honor. So over to Sanjay ji.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel sir. Good morning, everyone. So next week's meeting we'll be having in the evening, where Rakesh ji will be talking to us. So there's no morning meeting, there's an evening meeting. Colonel Saab will be giving the details later. Birthdays we are taking is Sandeep ji, 27th of November. And Smita is there, yeah. Smita, 28th of November. And this one, Shashi Babi's son, Ayush, on the 26th of November. Thank you, Colonel sir.
Thank you, Sanjay Bhai. Congratulations to all those who are celebrating their birthday. Please remember, Sunshine Box is also there, and you can post the money directly in the account, and Sunshine will sign more. Not taking much time. Once again, welcoming Ashutosh ji, and for formal welcome, inviting Sandeep ji to extend formal welcome. So over to Sandeep ji.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Colonel Saab, Rohit is doing the...
Sorry, I'm sorry. Rohit, I'm sorry because he is scheduled for vote of thanks. Yes, I'm sorry. So Rohit, over to Rohit Jirajani. My fault. Yeah. Rohit, please go ahead. Rohit, you are not audible. Please unmute yourself. Rohit, unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Shri Ashutosh Sinha recently authored a globally best-selling book, Through the Framework for an Inspired Career, which addresses the sensitive topic of what makes careers truly successful. He has worked as a HR leader.
Hello. Mic test 1 2 3. Mic test 1 2 3. Mic test.
Who is there? Please mute yourself. Sanjay Bhai, just take care of. Yes, please go ahead.
The US, India, and Southeast Asia. Over the last 25 years, he has developed deep expertise in leadership transformation and organization changes. His drive to build leadership careers comes from the research and insight developed over the years from the interview and personal interaction with over 2,000 CEOs, CXOs, and senior executives. He is joining us from Dubai, and I present Shri Ashutosh Sinha.
Welcome, Ashutosh ji. Ashutosh ji, you are muted. Kindly unmute yourself. Yes.
Thank you so much again for the very warm welcome. It's such a pleasure to be in such an august company. I have a Rotary tradition in my family. My grandfather used to be president of Rotary Club in one of the clubs in the country, and then my sister used to be an executive I did not manage to continue it so far, be a member, but someday soon I will be back there in India. It's a bigger pleasure, first of all, today to have warmed up to the national anthem. I have to tell you, I felt so good standing up to national anthem in the morning that it just warmed up the cockles of my heart. So thank you so much, and having me here, all of you. Um, this book which I've written, I'll talk to you about it, and I'd love to take any questions. Is something which over the last 25 years of my career is kind of my life's work, and I wanted to address a couple of points. People are, going after usually their careers where they're in a rat race always. They don't think about the larger purpose of life. They don't think about the society around them. They don't think about the what they could deliver and do for people around them. And in fact, it was very nice to hear what, as Rotarians, you were doing just before I was hearing some of the conversation before the call, before this conversation started, and how and what Rotary is doing. And similarly, it is in a lot of ways people busy trying to, you know, I have three P's. The first P is purpose, passion, and paycheck. And everyone is going after the paycheck. No one is necessarily, looking at the first two P's, which is passion and purpose. And that is something which is kind of destroying value. At the same time, people get very unhappy at a certain age. It happened to me as well. When I was somewhere in my 40s, mid 40s, I realized that, with all the success, I had all the, I mean, I'm not that I had become someone great, but you had the riches, the house, the car, whatever in US and India, all that stuff. But the point is, somewhere I wasn't feeling very happy because I was not probably connecting back to my core, and I was not delivering, value around me to the society beyond, of course, doing well for myself. And I started feeling, there's something wrong. And I read a lot of books which talk about happiness at work, joy at work. And this is not about just career work. When I say career, it's not about work, and career in a company. It's about homemakers. It's about army men. It's about people who are operating in businesses and doctors, anyone. But, everyone at some point of time arrives in a rat race. And what really happens is that over a period of time, I also realized that I was having competing priorities in life. At one side, I was having my personal priorities, which was my kids growing up and going to college, my parents getting older, the medical bills going here and there, my mortgages, closing out, and and managing various other personal priorities in life. And on the other side, the professional ambitions and priorities in business and career, and how do I manage and balance both. And I've seen that possibly there was a way and a method where people had to offer, and I went out and started reading a lot of research books across various other areas. And I also realized that while this was happening, the world index of frequency of uncertainty was going up. Things were changing very fast in the market. Crisis after crisis was hitting us, and I'll talk about that shortly. And because of that, it was getting very hard to predict businesses. It's getting very hard to predict actions, very hard to predict careers, and people were getting all the more flummoxed by that. So I called up some mentors I have across the world. I've always believed in having senior mentors, great mentors, and very experienced people like yourself. And I started calling them up and I said, am I the only one facing this? And they said, they have been through the same things upon a time in their life. It's not that I'm the only one facing it. And we together started thinking about that, what can we offer to the world to a kind of a solution, a framework, which is a practical framework instead of just a tagline and saying, be happy at work or be joyful at work. I mean, fine, it is good to be happy at work, but how do you practically get there? And how do you make a career which connects so deep with yourself that you end up creating value for not only yourself, but also people around you? And in the process, you make a lot of money, which is okay. There's nothing wrong in making money. But the point is that there is a certain process and method to it. And if you do it, it's more sustainable long term. So I interviewed about, I've had in my life, I've been very fortunate. I've interviewed about close to 3,000 CXOs, business leaders, businessmen, owners of business across the world. I've been fortunate to have worked with great minds, across the world who are multi-billion-dollar owners of business directly sitting across them from a very young age. And I also have had the chance to almost hire near about 40 to 50,000 people in my life in different companies. And because of this, I have a humongous network. So I started reaching out to these people and asking them what is happening to them. Is this true? And how do we change that? So with that, I just want to get started with a few slides, and I have made just on the context of the book, which will give you a sense, a visual sense, because it's easier to go through that, and allow me to present that to you. And after that, we will, of course, get into any questions you may have around the book. The book is targeted at people who are at a certain point of their life when they're feeling lost, or they're feeling, at a trajectory in the career, and where they don't know that how they should take the career ahead. And it's not a book which is a job book. It's not a career book. So it's really a book of someone trying to manage their life and career together and make it big in their life. So I'll just get started without much ado. I will go unmute here and allow me a second. I'll screen share.
Ashutosh, we can't hear you.
1 second. Yeah.
You can follow what your heart desires. You really love. Be who you really are. Do what you really love. Be who you really are. Your passion will soar till the sky.
One second. Yes, can you hear?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I will walk you through quickly few slides, and it will help us get closer to it, what the context of the book is, and hoping that you're able to connect to the philosophy which I was talking about earlier. What I played the video just before this was, you'll be very happy to know that, you'll be proud to know that someone who started off in a very humble beginnings, I have managed to put a book across, which is right now globally a bestseller. But more importantly, it has touched many lives, and I've been receiving many messages across the world today about how people are impacting their and career, that changing their careers and their lives based on some of the frameworks offered in the book. So, what is really happening around us? The World Uncertainty Index, if you look at this, this is like the ECG of the world, right? And the graph is very simple to understand. If you look at, on this graph, it is right from, let's say, last 1959 onwards, is just a quick view of the world. And it's probably a little lopsided more towards US, but still, if we bring in India and other parts of the world, it'll be equally dramatic and similar. This is the ECG frequency. So if you look at the initial part of the years, the frequency has been kind of at a below 400 level. After 2009, the world ECG, or the World Uncertainty Index, has gone up and shot up. And right up to the last presidential election in the US, or the oil crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, events in India, events in Southeast Asia and North Korea and everywhere. And what is going on is that people who are having careers or businesses across the world, any part of the country, any country, are getting impacted by this. So it is not that, gone are the days when careers used to be siloed careers, or your businesses or enterprises which used to be not impacted and affected by environment around us. And now it's getting very important to understand that what is happening. And this is the WEI index, it's called. You can check it out. It is part of the World Economic Forum and the IMF. And it has become almost pertinent that people keep in mind about how and what's happening around us. Now, career journey is, of course, like wealth management. All of you know that. It is about investing early, regular intervals. People do not do that. People just hurtle into a career, they jump into a career. And even if you look at people, young people, kids around us, middle-aged career executives around us, people who are around us in the family or our friend network, it's the same advice I give to them, that you do not really start running towards a career like a marathon runner straight away. You have to invest in your career at slow paces at different points of time. The quick pace career doesn't work out in the long term. So what's really going on here is the economics of career. Now, when you were at 50, when you were in college, right, some point of time, all of us were in college. And we had thought about it that, okay, at some point of time, we will fire ourselves. And what is fire? Fire is, you must have heard this term, is financial independence, retire early. Not everyone is born with a silver spoon in the mouth, right? Some of us had a humble childhood. Many of us would have had a childhood where our parents' income and pressures were not met, obviously, and education was hard to come. And we built, many of you would have been self-made people in your life. And that point of time in college, you probably thought that, okay, I'm going to take this age by when I'll be successful. And today, when I go to different senior executives or even mid-level executives and speak to them, they all talk about that they want to not even 50. In fact, I recently did a study. Many of them say that we would rather retire at 45. And what is retire? That's the question. Retire is not about retiring. There's nothing called retire. But the important thing here is to consider that if that was the case, and if someone is at 42 years of age, how many hours do you have left in your career, right? Or how many hours have you been through? Both questions. So if you look at how many hours have you been through, it's a very simple maths. Someone would have been through almost 39,000 hours of career, or doing a business, or living a scenario across the country, across the world, through different cycles of life. Now, if someone is at 42 and wants to be retiring early at 55 or 50 or 60 or 70, whatever that might be, it's a very simple equation. How much time do you have left to make a change? How do you make a change in that, right? What really is going to affect and bring that change to be able to invest that? And if we look at this maths, it is just about 13,000 hours left. So it's very interesting. And even if I make this 34 years, we can try it anywhere around. Even if I make 42, 34 years for younger generation, it is still going to be very interesting to see that this side will be still in red. It's a very interesting career economics balance sheet. And the factor is because life is divided into four quadrants, really, right? It is, if whether we look from our Vedic side, or whether we look from our philosophical side, or even from my research, there are four quadrants. And what's really going on, we'll just talk about that shortly. So the point here is that if you have X hours of career journey left, right? Do you have a plan? And if you have a plan, how deeply engaged are you in the plan? If you're not deeply engaged in the plan, then it really doesn't matter anyway, right? Because if you're not deeply engaged, then possibly, you're not even thinking about how you're going to make it successful. It doesn't matter what time and age you are in. And that is a big advice for people around us, especially the mid to senior level executives coming up, or business people who are setting up enterprises or startups. People do not think in that language. That people do not think this economics of career around them. And if I look one level deeper on this, I did this career thermometer, which is really it's available on my website. It is I of course wouldn't be taking you through it, but it's just to give you a sense. This is a new invention. It's copyrighted and patented. It's around how do you measure your current situation and career where you are in 10 minutes. It's a 10-point check. It's not a psychology test. It's a very simple, straight test. And it's available on the website free, and people can take it up. So I encourage you that, if you know senior executives around you or executives around you who have been through, even if they are doing very well in their career, uh, ask them to take this career thermometer test. And it kind of gives a sense of, if you look at this ostrich right here, I mean, that's the typical ostrich effect we are aware of, right? It buries the head in the sand. We don't like to be, as humans, to be self-critical. We often over-index who we are. We discount the real challenges around us, and we end up over-indexing our own capabilities. But it's important to be self-critical. So this helps to arrive at that. And if I look at the test, it's been something which has helped to arrive in this thermometer, that where are you in your career? Where are you in a place where you need to act on it, or do you need to move forward from there? Now, I want to come to this slide, which is very important. There's a concept I discovered, and again, I've copyrighted it over my research, is that it's an EKD factor. It's experiential knowledge dump. I realized that when I turned 45, and then as I hit 50, I realized that between the two scenarios, one thing started happening to me, especially when I was, as I crossed 40, especially at that age, it had already started happening. That was the experiential knowledge dump, EKD as I call it. What is experiential knowledge dump? As we build careers and as we come out of college, we are like a plain slate. We don't know much about the world, very, very intuitive in nature. And we develop experience. That experience helps us to look at the world differently, and we take decisions based on that, whether it is our life or business or jobs. Now, over a period of time, that starts changing. Our intuitive sense goes down. Our experiential decision starts coming out, which is nothing wrong with it. But if you look at it, there's something interesting happening here. And I was speaking to the CEO of General Motors, and he was talking about how things change for him. I was speaking to someone in the Tata Group also. People have in different places looked at it and realized that how experience comes in the way becomes the biggest obstacle to be successful. And it's a very interesting conundrum that 54% people said when they went through this EKD factor, that they were being held accountable for problems outside their control. 38% businessmen said they didn't expect the loneliness and isolation, that their problems were just themselves. They're not able to deal with it, not because they were not smart enough, not they were good enough or experienced enough, because of EKD. Now, what is this EKD, right? This is the quadrant of life I spoke about. We have four quadrants: 20 to 30 years, 30 to 40 years, 20, 30 years when you're fresh out of college, you want to run. 30 to 40 years is when you are, climbing up, you have a bit of a bag on your back, and you're trying to build family, you got a new job or a new business, and so on and so forth. 40 to 50 is when you start, kind of making the run. I recently got a call from a dear friend, well, not a friend, but someone who knew me from my engineering college network. who is wanting to take a career transition out of army, and he's spent his life there and done very, very well for the nation. And he was talking about the same thing. So whether it is about being in the armed forces, whether it is about being in a business, whether it's about being a homemaker, a woman who has worked all her life, given up a career, and focused on ensuring the family is nurtured and taken care of, this still applies. Everyone is kind of building up 30 to 40, and 40 to 50 you're stabilizing and working fast. 50 to 60 is the zone when you need to start giving back to the society and working on it. And what really happened there is, if you look at this is how people start. This is exactly what I was talking about, that we come out with your quadrant A, you say I have a dream, I don't have an idea how to get there. Then at the 30 to 40 quadrant B, you say I'm on way to build my career. I like the climb, it's not as good as I thought, it's a lot of heavy work. But suddenly at 40 to 50, people start saying, I have many goals to conquer in life. So from single goal, there's, at quadrant B, there were, let's say, 4 goals. At quadrant C, there are probably 20 goals suddenly. And it keeps going up. Sometimes it is even more. In my interviews, I realized people had 30, 35 goals. And the idea was that, they're competing goals because they have to balance each other. At one end, you want to make sure you don't break a relationship. Other end, you need to make sure you don't break your business. Other end, you need to make sure that you pay out the loans or anything you have in your life, and so on and so forth. The point is that the life goals start burning you out, and you don't get out of the rat race. And that is exactly where the career one started to make or one started to live becomes unhappy, because we as humans are always looking for recognition, and we keep continue to climb that ladder of being in the rat race, not come out of it, because we don't realize that actually the same reason why we got out with a dream is now eating us up. If you look at the 50 to 60 zone, it is where someone should be saying, I've arrived and I've settled to work, time to give back to industry, mind over matter. It's time. Now what's really happening between these 4 quadrants? At quadrant D, it is a state of hyper EKD, as I call it, and hyper intuition and high skills. So you develop great skills, which is impressive because someone would have lived through that career in time. EKDs become hyper because now every decision you take, you view through your lens. So what happens is, sometimes when there's hyper EKD, our decisions become slower because we get less intuitive when we say that, is this right or wrong? What's the speed of decision at the quadrant B? Now, it's nothing wrong with that, but the problem is that if the decision stalls us, especially in our personal lives or goals or our career or a business, that is not a good idea. There has to be a good balance between intuition and experience. And quadrant C, if I walk backwards, the one here, this box here, is 40 to 50, when there's high EKD and high intuition. And at that point of time, the high EKD actually pushes you to take decisions which are possibly great for you, but at the same time, your intuitive ability is actually helping you to build on it and give back to the society slightly at that point of time. But at the same time, you're saying that, okay, where do I have the time? You have no time left. And you're only focused on going through experiential lens, taking decision after decisions, sometimes going wrong at it, and sometimes coming out of it and questioning yourselves, where did I go wrong? And the reason you're going wrong or someone goes wrong is because the experience factor here again overcomes the intuition. There's always this conflict between the mind, between intuition and experience, that which is the right decision to take. And people who resolve it have a very simple mantra. And we'll come to that. How has that happened? And why are people successful who are able to conquer this EKD factor and able to live a journey which is necessarily in the right spirit and the right place? Now, there's something called the frog trap, and this happens to all of us. You must have heard about it, that if I put a frog, and I haven't done that, this is just a toy frog, but if you look at the research, and you can go on net and Google everywhere to look more on it, but I'll quickly talk through it. If you put a frog in a pot of, let's say, lukewarm water, what happens? The frog likes that water. If you turn on the flame and you turn the water, start heating the water, what happens? The frog still adapts to that water. If you heat up the flame more and the temperature starts rising up, the frog feels a little uncomfortable, but reshuffles its feet and adapts its body to readjust to the temperature and readapts to the environment around it. As you bring it to further up, it reaches a point where the frog gets very uncomfortable, but it keeps readapting, readjusting to the environment. And then comes a point of time when the frog just cannot jump out because the water is already boiling. We as humans in our business, our careers, and our lives act very similarly. What really happens is that we end up being in the frog trap. When some situation hits us, I was talking to this gentleman who is a very successful businessman, and he has actually made his business himself in the field of it's a someone who's a known name actually in the industry, and he's actually come out of a lot of journey of career. But some other time, what happened to him, especially in the quadrant three, where he was not looking at things around him. His equity factor was hitting him, and he kept adapting and readapting and not realizing why his business, why his work was not changing. Why was there no increase in what was going around him? Because he was just getting too comfortable with everything around. And that's exactly what happens in executive careers also. People, start deviating from the career. They just choose a, let's say, a spurt in the income or maybe some other life compulsion, and they say, okay, I'm going to take this left track on my highway, in my career highway, and take to the cart field, and hopefully come out of it soon. It's just a matter of time. But they don't realize that they start adapting to it. So this person, there's a story about this person who actually was doing very well, earning great money. But some other time he got offered, this person who was 34 years old at that point of time, he got offered a great job, which was 3 times his money. And he took it up and he said, okay, I'm going to earn this money and come out of it in a very happy state, because end of the day, it's a CEO job. I'm just a business head. I'm going to take it up. And the CEO job actually helps me to, of course, get a better station in society. But more importantly, it also helps me to meet my other compulsions in life, and from a compensation standpoint, and also fulfillment. But in about, matter of 18 months to 2 years, the person started realizing that what he or she had thought at that point of time, and this individual is he in this case, had actually not gone the way he had thought. He had deviated from his desired career path, and the outcome was that he was suddenly feeling very, very stifled where he was and what he was doing. So he said to himself that, okay, that's fine, things will change. Let me give myself another 1 year. What he was not realizing is that things were actually changing, not with him, but the environment around him. The business he had been given a 3x salary for was actually a sunset business. And he had not looked into it in detail. And that was not very smart of him, that's agreed. But the problem is that he was telling himself, it's okay, let me go on. It's okay, let me go on. Similarly, there's a story of Jane. She was someone who had left a career to choose a life to be a homemaker, looked after the kids, did very well. Sometime around her 40s, she started realizing that with a great degree, with a great background, and everything else, she was in a place where she was feeling stifled at every morning, getting up and doing the same thing, getting the kids to school or college, or looking after the home, getting stuff done, going out and dealing with her little enterprise which she was running on the side and everything else. But the point is, there was something which is not giving the spring in her step in the morning. She was not getting up with that I'm doing something which is really changing me or changing people around me. And it was the same situation where she was getting in the frog trap till she questioned herself, and there's certain method to it where she connected up two P's, the purpose and passion. And today she's an artist, a world-renowned artist. She does everything in her life which she was doing before, but she's managed to create some of the best artworks we have known in contemporary art. And again, she and I started talking about, for good 6 years we took, where we went through this whole immersion exercise about how she would come out with her sense of purpose and connected to what she did very well as passion, she could connect the two and yet monetize it. So, and that obviously made her happy because she was doing something and still earning money out of it. But the more importantly, it was getting better and better because she was doing it at a pace which she enjoyed. Now, obviously, career stories are like this, and idea is that when you move from quadrant A to B, you feel that you started on track or somewhere, and then you move to from on track, you take a bad decision in career sometimes, and you move on to the left, which is the cartwheel, which I told you about. The career, the dots here are really the true north is your sense of purpose. That's your career state. This is a 3D model which I made where you think that, okay, this is my path to success. This is where I want to be, where I'll arrive, and I'll be recognized in society. I'll be known in life. And you get onto that at a certain pace. You get off track at a certain point of time. You start rediscovering your purpose in your calling. And it's very important to connect to that. And then you make a comeback on the right track where you can connect your true north. This happens over and over again. One can do it many times. But the point is, because purpose is not a vision statement, it is a process of self discovery. It's every 6 months, every 1 year, one has to question and check and do a checkpoint. And whatever age doesn't really matter, that what is my sense of purpose in life? Yeah, last year it was this, 10 years back it was probably my children. Today it is something else, and tomorrow it's going to do something else. And questioning and connecting to that is very, very important to build your life and career around you, both for people who are in quadrant D or C, and even for executives who are making the career in quadrant B. And then obviously, this is an important question, which I'm sure all of you can answer. If you have 10 hours to spend in a quarter in 3 months, every 3 months, what is the most important person you will spend your life with? Your children, your family, your brothers, sisters, your parents? Who will you spend time? And obviously the answer is that it is basically you, because we do spend time with everyone else and we need to spend time. It's well respected, why not? But it's very important that we need to find that check-in time, because our brain has two, it's a frontal cord, and the back, and it kind of is not able to resolve if there's too much ambiguity, and we take bad decisions because of this. So it's important to have the reflection time and think, because if we do not put our own oxygen mask, we cannot help other fellow passengers. So we usually try to start helping others, not realizing that we need to be making sure that we are self-contained and we are knowing that what is our sense of purpose and how we're connecting to our career going ahead. So the whole point is that, this is the framework which I have. And idea is that, okay, what is the framework here, right? It's a QAPA framework, as I call it. And it's very important that by research, by a lot of conversations with a lot of people, it is understood that reinventing at different stages of career, and I'm sure some of you on the call today have done that, and kudos to you and hats off to you if you've done that, because people who have not reinvented themselves at different points of time in the career, they are actually, you'll be surprised, are a lot of big majority. By research, 87% people do not reinvent themselves. They carry on with what they are in the frog trap. They don't come out of it. They don't look at the two P's, the purpose and passion. They keep going after the paycheck, and the paycheck betrays them. And when they do not reinvent, they end up at a place where they feel miserable about it. And that's the whole idea, that how do we make sure that we're able to build that capacity to reinvent in people at the right point of time at different stages of the quadrant A, B, C, and D. And that's extremely important, and it happens through the me time. So I've been doing a lot of these sessions for people. It's a personal passion to me, a personal mission to me, where I do a skill audit. I run career thermometer in specific people who have read my book or have not read my book. I take them through this 3-stage process, which I developed about constrained thinking. How do you approach a business or work through constrained thinking? Then I call it RSTs, the random street thinking. How do you think about your work in a no constrained thinking zone? And that connects to coming to ACT, which is building a true north and developing an action roadmap. So that's pretty much around it today. I will pause here and take any questions that you may have. But the idea was to quickly present to you my thoughts, which are in this book, and also to give you a sense about how and why people are talking about it across the world, how it's affecting them. So thank you so much for the honor to be with you to talk about my thoughts.
Astoshji, it was mind blowing, stunning talk. And in the morning, we got a lot of insight. For question and answer, I would request Sanjay ji to moderate. So over to Sanjay ji.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel sir. Any, could we have the screen down, please, Ashutosh ji?
Yes, yes, I'm bringing it down. 1 second. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, any questions? It was really a journey through what we have been through, Ashutosh ji, literally. So, any
I
questions?
felt if I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
the lucky opportunity, I would have come and interviewed some of you because it would have added so much value to my book and my research. And in fact, I also had a lot of goosebumps as I looked at the research itself that I've been through. And a lot of my mentors who have been around the industry, who are in there, who are very senior today in the industry, they have been through the same thing. So it's interesting how all of us go through it.
yeah.
Thank
Maybe
you.
we can do that, once the lockdown is actually over and COVID is over, we can do that. Especially in an evening meeting, if we do that, the ants would also be there then.
Yes,
And when you come down to India, especially.
for sure, for sure.
Right, Colonel sir?
Yeah. So, Sandeep bhai, you are very silent. You are the one who used to ask so many questions. Yeah. So before we go for OTA thanks, I would like to request you to ask questions which comes to your mind. Over to
Can I
Sandeep.
ask a question?
Yes,
Can
yes.
I?
Yeah,
Why not?
Anuradha, please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
We are looking for questions today.
yeah. No, what I was thinking is that we all understand, but we're always in a denial mode. What do you think that how do you do the analysis of a perceived risk versus a real risk when you take a business decision of
It's a
a career change?
See, Anuradhaji, that's a great question, if I got your name right. And thanks for asking it. There's something in, if you saw in my career model, this you use the term perceived risk. There's also something called perceived income. I'll start with that. Since most of our lives we are making our goals and careers around income, what we don't see is that there's a real income and there's a perceived income. Perceived income is what it seems the income is. The real income is the opportunity cost, or what we're giving up to get that income, right? Like we sacrifice a few things to get to that income. And therefore there's a difference between perceived income and real income. Similarly, perceived risk is exactly the same, where when we make a switch, while the perceived risk could be that, okay, there's going to be a certain element of doubt in our mind about what's going to happen, whether I'm changing my business stream. For example, I was helping someone the other day who, incidentally, he's visiting Dubai from US, and he was going through a scenario where he and his wife have moved in from career to set up a small business, and now they're moving to making a change in their business. And the perceived risk he had was that the market is not ready. But at the same time, the real risk, when he went into detail and researched that through his own research and through our network, we realized was that more than the market readiness, the issue was his product was not fully baked for the market. So there is something called the bridge of fear. It's in my chapter, I think 8 of my book, and the bridge of fear is where I really talk about how does one cross the bridge of fear, because what really happens is when we make that plunge, we want to change from lane A to lane B, just like on the highway moving fast. We give an indicator, but it's very hard to judge, at what speed someone is coming behind us unless we have already calculated our risk before. And similarly, in business or career, what is really going on is that we have to measure it. So we have to start building a second lane as an enough space in the lane before we shift to the right. What does it mean? It means that we need to figure out how do we have a second channel of income or a safety net which is kicking in at the same time, and we calculate our next 18, 24 months plan before we shift to the right. And that kind of brings the real risk lesser, and the perceived risk element actually therefore kind of merges with the real risk. Otherwise, we'll always be in conflict in our mind that we do not want to change. We'll always be shy to make a change. That is the prime issue. So I hope that, yeah, this is chapter 9, where I actually talk about crossing the bridge. Exactly to your question here.
Yeah, Anuradha.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a very good question.
Yes.
Sandeep
With your permission, may I?
Yeah. We are looking forward for your question.
Ashutosh ji, good morning, good evening. Which part of US are you from?
No, I'm right now in Dubai. I was in US. Now I'm in Dubai right now.
Okay.
Settled in Dubai.
Okay, so it's good early morning to you. And normally we have 2-3 Rotarians. Okay, one is Vikram Puri, one is Rotarian Umesh Janal, and they are the representatives of ours asking questions. Unfortunately, they're not available today, so maybe the responsibility has been bestowed upon me. Okay, now you were talking of this uncertainty graph. I think, and I mean, I need your expert thought on what I'm thinking, is primarily because most people connect it to the job opportunities available, how much are you employable. They don't look at it, anything changing is an opportunity for you to go and discover something new, or to invent something new, or to come up with new ways and means of doing something which we have been doing in a different fashion altogether. And that is the reason the graph is so high in 2019, 2020, because unexpected things have happened. But let's look at history. Most of the inventions came at the time of World War II. It was a disaster. World War II was a disaster. But where we are today in life is primarily because World War II happened. If it would not happen, so many things, so many technologies, so many inventions would not have been there, including nuclear power. So I think this index actually is not an index of opportunity. It is index of fear, that people are afraid things are not going to happen for us because somebody is taking away all our jobs. This is what my thought is. And since you are an expert, I would like to hear your opinion on that.
Sandeep, first of all, amazing thoughts. I'm almost compelled to invite you to my talk show, which I run, called Take a Thought Break, on YouTube channel, where we discuss such topics. So what you brought up was very, very interesting. See, when I was speaking to I was addressing someone in the United Nations about 2 years back, and this person had worked during the crisis of the war which happened that point of time. 2-3 wars were happening around the world, and it's a very interesting view I want to share with all of you. This lady had been witness to multiple countries going through strife-torn, and we know what we're talking about. 2 or 3 different places going through the same different kinds of war at that point of time in the world. And she said something amazing. She said, and very much to your point, Sandeepji, she said, people get worried by war and opportunities, but the best of the human mind has come out after the wars and after the strife and after the crisis. Similarly, the difference is now if I examine, and so my book is really not about economic index of countries, but my research was around, if I looked at individuals, us as humans, our mind under pressure, right? When I was in the ragging in my college, the best came out of me, let's say, on a very lighter note. But
so
when
you were
I was
ragging or you were getting ragged? There are different
getting ragged. but which happens to all of us in engineering college or a commerce college. So but as you get into work, you're under pressure because of economic factors, like you rightly said. You can react in 2 ways. One, you can run. So it's a fight and flight, right? You can run and you can say, okay, I'm not going to face this. I'll be the ostrich, like I showed in that picture, and bury my hand in the sand and bury my head in the sand, and I'll not look at what's real me. But a lot of other people at that point in time take their head out of the sand, like the not like the ostrich, but they look out outside like the deer, and they say, okay, what is the sense of risk around me in the real sense? What is going around, and how can I take it as an opportunity? The most successful, and I've had the real pleasure of working with some of the best minds in the boardroom right across in the world who are very successful businessmen or senior executives. And I can say with absolute conviction that the difference between them and those who did not was only one. They used that moment to sit back, reflect. They got, let's say, hit in the face, but they took the moment to sit back, reflect, and take their sweet time, but came back with a very different strategy, with a very new punch, with a very new approach, and they built on that opportunity. So completely, by the way, agree with you. Your point is bang on that, uh, WUA, the World Uncertainty Index, has done two different things to different people. People have gone and sulked and sat and gone into shell, and people have come out with brilliance and changed the world and their own careers and their own businesses.
Thank you so much. Karna sir, back to you.
Yeah, Karna sir.
I ask one question.
Yeah, Neeruji, go ahead, please.
Please, Neeraj.
Yeah, Ashutosh ji, I can see that you are connecting with so many people, so many people. I feel spirituality definitely gives you that insight, which, as you said, should be the spring to our flight of success. I mean, what place is there of Vedic knowledge in your guidelines towards success?
Neeraj,
You have taken once Vedic, you have said in your talk.
yes,
So that's why
yes,
I'm asking.
yes, absolutely. See, I realize that, first of all, I would like to share, and all of you must be knowing that somehow I feel that my business executives in my country and people do not absorb and take advantage of our Vedic knowledge lying in the country as much as people outside the country, unfortunately. And I'm not making a negative statement here. I'm just saying that how Germany, how in US, people are actually milking out so much knowledge from our own knowledge in our country reservoir than people who are within the country, and there's work happening. When I was researching that, I realized that I stumbled upon something very interesting. See, we have four ashrams of life, right? We have the which we have learned right from our very childhood, and different. And doesn't matter what school of thought or what college or what philosophy we may have, but it is somewhere it's very logical. It's not about being affiliated to any kind of line of thinking. And the four, my quadrants are linked slightly to the same philosophy. If I look at it, quadrant A is the stage one of life. Quadrant B is stage two of life. Quadrant C is stage three of life. And every, whether it's a brahmacharya ashram we call it, or we have the one prastha ashram at the end, but between the four stages, what we have probably forgotten, and it's written there. And if you also read books like Sun Tzu's Art of War, which is the Chinese philosopher, people have come up with similar philosophies in life, that every quadrant, let's not complicate life, let's make things easy. Every quadrant is different. But what happens is, we as humans are very interesting beings. When I was speaking to children, I address nearly, in the last 4 months, I've addressed about 1,000 children in Indian colleges across different business schools and schools. When I asked them this question, that what do you think, is there a risk you will have at the age of 40? They said there'll be no risk, we'll be fine. But when I asked someone at the age of 40 that, did you have a risk at that point of time? They said, yes, I didn't realize that I had a risk. But the reason was I had morphed my whole life into one zone. So what is important is, at quadrant A, one needs to start realizing that, there will be a quadrant B in my life. I need to prepare for it now. At quadrant B, you need to know there will be a quadrant C in my life. I need to prepare for it now. You can't prepare on it when you've arrived in the train. You have to prepare for it before you start from home. And that's exactly the issue, that we end up as humans only looking at situations and scenarios. That's our psychology when the problem comes in front of us, while actually we can be very smart about it and plan much ahead of time. So I hope I answered your question, but that's one of the places I connected.
Yeah, one more question connected to this. How
Please.
can we spread our Vedic knowledge? I mean, people like you can be a carrier of this good knowledge to many people. So how can we do that?
It's so I would first of all, I'm very passionate about it. I have 2 or 3 sides which give me goosebumps. I'm extremely patriotic. I am very rooted to our culture, and you know, I feel that I'm outside the country is probably a reason that I can actually use a larger platform to the world and give things back as well in different ways. But at the same time, I have to tell you that the 2 ways I'm already doing it, and that's my way to my sense of purpose, which I have in life at this point of time. My sense of purpose, which I shared, all of us should have one, is that if I'm picking 10 people every year, just 10 people, a very simple goal every year, who I can personally mentor, imbibe the entire sense of the distillation of our Vedic, and not only Vedic, actually, even beyond Vedic, there's some granths around in our country, which have been, and I've not read everything. I'm not very wise. I'm still getting wiser every day. As more I'm reading, I'm probably not even 1/10 of, or maybe not even 1/20th of what the gurus or the sages or the different streams have. But at least every time I absorb something, it's adding more. So I'm sharing that with, you know, at 2 levels. One is these 10 people I pick up every year who come to me on LinkedIn or other approach or through my mentoring school, and they say that, okay, and I try to change and transform the career and their lives. Second is, which I'm very focused on. I'm actually writing my second book right now, which is actually on quadrant A itself. Children, I believe, are coming out of college right now. They are, if I am able to spread this to all of them, I'd have created one generation at least. You know, at least they are a more focused lot who can learn from this. Because my son, both my sons, when they from teenager went to college, my thinking was the same, that, you know, uh, I can't be the doctor for my own family. It is very hard that I can tell others. It always happens to parents that, you know, you can't tell your own kids the same medicine. But then I started telling them readings around other places, and I realized they were actually listening to me more than me to the readings around me. So the same thing I've started doing with, you know, people. And I have to tell you that out of 1,000 children, or I shouldn't say children, they are young adults, I addressed in the last 4 months, I've shared this knowledge, I've shared this connection, and I've also offered to them that, you know, I'm not going, this is not about monetary. Feel free to, I can't give you jobs, but what I can give you is advice. So if you want to come back to me and connect with me or LinkedIn, other places, I'm going to reach out to you. The third stream is I've tied up with a couple of organizations within the country, and that's why I'm not doing it right now across the world. I think the best place to start within your own country. So where I have started looking at, you know, these organizations to help me, people who are moving to second careers. So I spoke about army men who are looking to change, transition career, homemakers looking to change their career and coming back to something else, businessmen. So I'm helping them with the same philosophy and knowledge, and that's helping them to switch as well. So long answer, but I hope that answered some of the question you had.
Thank you,
Nice
Ashutosh.
of you.
Already
That's amazing.
time is 8:31. So not taking much time. Before proceeding further, there are some guests who have joined today. Raghunath Dangi is there. Ritesh Bhosle, Nilesh Gadge, Sarthak Sri Lankar, Jed Diwan, and there are two with phone, you know, Galaxy An and one Galaxy J7. So you all are most welcome, and hearty, you know, welcome to join today morning. Please keep on joining in future also. We are trying to align excellent speakers you have heard today. You know, Astoshi, it's mind blowing. Passion and purpose. You know, these two words missing. You have already said. So, not taking much time, once again, thanking you, Astoshi, for being with us today. So, for formal vote of thanks, I would like to invite Rotarian Sandeep ji. Over to Sandeep ji.
Thank you, Kanasab, and good morning, everybody. Ashutosh, it has been indeed a pleasure to get a lot of insight from you today. I wish I got somebody like you to meet me about 35 years back when I started my career. And if you would have shown me that path, probably my career would have been different today. But what you are doing, mentoring people, is a phenomenal thing to do. And your concept of EKD and finding a purpose for yourself, passion for yourself, rediscovering yourself, reinventing yourself. Okay, these are the things which, when you're taking to youngsters, when you're taking to the younger population of our country, I think you are doing a fantastic service. My hats off to you, my salute to you for that. We look forward to having an opportunity to be able to meet you in persons one of these days. Of course, Corona permitting and other factors permitting, but it would indeed be a pleasure. And also at the same time, while I'm talking to you, you said maybe you would like to join an organization like ours one of these days. So on behalf of the club and the president over here, let me extend that invitation. While you are looking at it, why not look at our club itself? we, we would love to have you with us.
Yes,
And
yes.
it would be an asset then if we can share some time with you every single week. And with that, on behalf of the club and the members present over here, let me extend a formal vote of thanks to you for being with us. It was indeed a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Friends, it has been an excellent talk on given by Ashutosh ji. Can we put our hands together and give very big round of applause to him? Thank you, Ashutosh ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
all of you are there with me on this mission. So thank you very, very much. Thank you very
And
much.
Ashutosh ji, this cracking joke is the tradition, good tradition of Rotary Club Pune Riverside. And for that honor, I am again inviting Sandeep ji to crack a joke. That is joke of the week. So over to Sandeep ji.
कन्ना साहब एक प्रॉब्लम हो रही है मेरे को. आशुतोष जी, डू यू अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी?
हाँ बिल्कुल अच्छे से.
ओके ओके ओके.
अच्छे से.
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जो कीनोट स्पीकर हैं वो आशुतोष जी हैं, लेकिन आप मेरे को इतना टाइम दे रहे हैं कि लोग कंफ्यूज हो रहे हैं कि हु इज द कीनोट स्पीकर. ओके. आज विक्रम जी भी नहीं है और प्रेरणा भी नहीं है, तो लेट मी टेक अ मोमेंट एंड डू देयर पार्ट आल्सो. They normally come out with a wise one. So I'm just copying and reading from somewhere actually. People who avoid failure also avoid success. Now, we were talking of careers today. So let me share something on that. तो ये चार बाप थे, अपने अपने बच्चे की, अपने अपने बेटे की बड़ाई कर रहे थे. तो इतने में एक बोला कि यार जरा मैं I'll just take a loo break and I'll be back with you. तो इतने में पहले वाला जो था वो बोला कि you don't understand, you know how much my son has achieved. He started with his career as a car salesman, and today he is a CEO of a car company. In fact, he just gifted a top of the line Mercedes to one of his very close friends. Fantastic. The other one says that my son started as a pilot, and today he owns a aircraft company. In fact, he gifted a jet to his friend. The third one said that my son started as a salesman and now he's gone on to become a big time owner of an empire, and he gifted a 30,000 square feet mansion to his friend. In the meantime, the fourth one came and said, okay, we were discussing, you know, what all our sons have achieved. So what has your son done? He said, to tell you honestly, मेरा बेटा तो यार गिगोलो बन गया है, और वो जो है बार में जाके डांस करता है और उसको पैसे मिलते हैं मेंस बार में. तो लोग बोले कि then you must be really ashamed of him. He said, no, not at all. Why should I be? He is my son. I love him. I like him a lot. In fact, he is doing very well. Just last week, he got a top of the line Mercedes Benz from one very close friend of his, a jet aircraft, and a 30,000 square feet mansion. So I think he's doing good.
Thank you. Great. Thank you very much. Friends, as Sanjay ji has already told, coming Wednesday, 2nd, 6:30 to 7:30. Our friend President-elect Rakesh Relani is going to speak on digital security. That's very important. And why we have kept it in the evening? Because our attendance in the morning is little less, so we want to experience number one. Secondly, we are also adding the students and the teachers who are already on Sanjeevani platform. So please don't miss, block your day, date and time, and join on Wednesday 2nd, 6:30 onward. Thank you very much once again, Astoji. We would love to hearing you continuously, and you have written a very amazing book. I will request Rohit to get one for me. I will go through, though I have started my second inning, but I may get some clue and I can do much better after reading that. So that is the take which I am having, and I'm sure others would have also big take on, after today's talk. So not taking much time, I am.
And my request to you is that if you could advise it for people in your network and take advantage of it, who are in their early part of the middle of their career, that'll be very kind.
Yes, yes. In fact, I will advise my two daughters. One is in California, another is in Chicago. So that's really amazing book. I mean, amazing concept. Once we go through the book, there I'm sure there will be lot many things. So already it's 8:45, 8:40. So not taking much time. Please allow me to adjourn the meeting. Should I close the meeting? End the meeting?
Thank you so much, Kannan sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashutosh ji.
Thank you
very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.